Hey guys, Sean C. Phillips here with my brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video today. Taking a go out today, see what things came out, see what things are on sale. I know today though, one of the only big releases today that comes out is The Meg, and I believe Best Buy has an exclusive steelbook of that one. I don't think there's exclusives at Walmart or Target. I'm not 100% sure though, but definitely will be checking. Also though, the end of this video is going to be a whole bunch of new DVD and Blu-ray reviews for things I received to review and talk about for you guys. So some really cool stuff. A bunch of new 4Ks, some stuff from Arrow Video, some stuff from Shout Factory, Scream Factory. So a whole lot of different stuff, so definitely stay tuned for those at the end of this video. Also, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of the, the DVDs and Blu-rays that I reviewed, if you guys have seen them. But anyway though, guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Target we go. In here though, they didn't put out the Meg yet. I don't see that. Other than that, I think the other one that came out today was Alpha. I may go to another Target. I'm not sure because I don't think there was really too much else they were going to have. It's funny, the sections are all kind of like a couple of like random things in here, like older things, like, how to be single. And it's just weird. There's like some random stuff kind of put in here, but they do have these complete second season here of Stranger Things. I don't see any of the 4Ks, the ones I was trying to find last week as well, but they did put them out down here. And I don't know if this is right. I think this is the price for the old one, for the actual first season one, because it says $20. So I'm pretty sure that's actually not the price on it. It's actually like, I think it was $25 when I got it, but maybe it is. It actually went down in price. But other than that though, like I said, they didn't put out any of the new stuff, and like I said, I might go to another one. I'm not 100% sure, but this location though, it seems like they never really get this stuff out very early anymore, so I'm probably gonna have to start going to another one. For a little while they were having the stuff out, but lately it's like has not been that at all though. So we may go to another one though, but hopefully Walmart has all the things out though. They do have this one cool thing in here that's pretty, I think this just came out. It's like a Home Alone the game, like the cover is done like an ugly sweater, but it's some sort of like a playing card game of Home Alone, and it has like the traps on the cards. They're all done like one of those ugly sweater kind of looks. That's kind of cool though. I think it's like, I believe $25, but they seem to have these kind of kiosk things in the front of like 90s kind of stuff, like at least from what I can tell. Yeah, see, like down here, this one has like some like 80s type things, and they have like Clueless, like a lot of 80s and 90s type things in these kiosks. And then they have like cassette tapes for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 on a tape, which is pretty cool. This Britney Spears one here, I think these are, $9, no, $10.99, and then this Guns N' Roses one, as well as a soundtrack for Stranger Things on cassette as well. So that's kind of cool that they have these. Into Walmart we go. Walmart really needs to do a better job on stocking up on popcorn tins. They have got like none of them in here. It's ridiculous. I don't know why they've only got so few of them. And last week I finally found those VHS slipcovers at the other Walmart that I went to, and I ended up getting the happy birthday to me one, and then one of the other ones, but I actually forgot and then didn't even realize, so I had to go back the next day. The Who's Harry Crumb one was actually an exclusive one that had never been actually released on Blu-ray before, so I ended up getting that one the following day. But just so you guys know, that Who's Harry Crumb one with John Candy actually had never been released on Blu-ray before, and somehow I totally did not remember that and thought I actually had it, but I did go back and get it though. But in here though, they don't have everything out though. They don't have like the Meg Blu-rays and 4Ks. Like the 4Ks $29.99, and the other one that's like missing down here is Mile 22, and then like one other thing. I think I don't know what the other thing is here, something else, but like I said, they don't have the Meg Blu-ray or 4K, but they do have the DVD, which has actually a different cover than the Blu-ray and 4K. I'll be talking about this one at the end of this video, but I really like this one a lot. Also today, Olaf's Frozen Adventure came out, and this also has like 6 bonus Disney shorts, holiday kind of shorts. This actually originally played at the beginning of Coco as the short before Coco, but it was actually like a 25-minute short or something like that. I'm pretty sure this is the same one, unless this is like an extended edition of that, but I believe this is the one that played at the beginning of that, but then they only ended up having that for the first week or two and ended up taking that out. Also today, this movie starring Batista, which I talked about last week, called Final Score, which is kind of like a Die Hard style film. I really like this one a lot. This is a really cool movie about him trying to stop these terrorists in this football stadium, and it's his niece in there and everything, and he's trying to find where she is because she wandered off. But really good movie. I really love that one. If you guys have seen that, let me know what you thought as well. Also, this one, I didn't see this one in theaters, so I don't know much about this. If you guys have watched this, let me know. I believe there's a Blu-ray as well, this film here called Alpha. And I think this might have been today, The Crown, the complete second season, or that might have been last week. I don't remember for sure. As well as Preacher Season 3, Juliet Naked, that released today. And this one I really like, The Dating Game Killer. This stars the main guy from Half Baked. I always remember him from that. This is about the real serial killer who was, appeared on The Dating Game. This was actually a really well done, like, serial killer film. Also, The Children Act was today. This one I might get. This one here called Look Away. This seemed kind of interesting. As well as this one, The Puzzle, and The Marine Sixth came out today as well. Also in here, though, they did get all of the Rambo films, or at least the first 3 Rambo films came out today on 4K. They're all $17.96 each. We'll be talking about these ones, though, at the end of this video as well. But really cool, they actually have all these ones in store, though. Yeah, so I ended up getting that Look Away one in there. It looks actually kind of interesting, though. I don't know too much about it. From what I was reading, though, it looked like a pretty interesting one, though. Another one, if you guys saw this one, let me know what you thought of this. Into the Valley Thrift Store we go. I think it's been like maybe 3 weeks or so since I've been here. It's been quite a while. But every so often I find stuff, but usually the DVDs and Blu-rays over here are always super, super busy. But we'll see. Yeah, it looks like there's a bunch of stuff down the bottom, so it definitely looks like they've stocked back up recently. This one, though, is always like the king of shoes. Like, there's so many shoes in here. But I'm going to go and look through all this and see if I can find anything in here interesting today. There's like some games and stuff mixed in here. This is a weird Incredible Hulk thing. I don't know if this is like a bootleg or something, a Return of the Incredible Hulk. I don't know, I've never seen this one. This might be a weird bootleg or something of it. I'll have to look that one up and see. Like I said, though, it's been a couple weeks since I've been in here, maybe 3 weeks or so. So I'm just going to look through all this and see if I can find anything interesting in here today, or out of print or anything. And I have seen some interesting out of print stuff in here in the past, so you never really know. This is one that I can't believe this still hasn't come to Blu-ray. I love this movie. It's probably my favorite John Candy movie, and it's always interesting too. The TV version of this movie, I think this one has all these deleted scenes, like all this stuff, like extra and everything, like the first, like, in the way of getting to the beach house and everything, so much stuff. So hopefully if they ever do put this on Blu-ray, they put like the TV cut as like a feature or something, because it was such a different version, at least like 20 minutes of extra stuff and everything in there. Like I said, though, I'll show you guys if I come across anything in here interesting today. Yeah, I'm looking through all this. This one thing, I already have this one, but I believe this one is out of print. The Diners, Drive-Ins, Dives, the second season. It's in a different kind of case, too. I've never actually seen it in a case like this. The one I have is like one that has like those really thin disc cases inside of it, so that's kind of funny. A totally different case I've never seen for that. But like I said, just kind of been looking through here. Yeah, but I looked through everything in there, and like I said, didn't see anything that different. There's definitely a lot of stuff. It was all stuff that I already had, or was like super common things. There's a couple random things in there that were like a little different, but nothing, at least, that I didn't have in there, though. But I always like to come back there every couple of weeks, though. It's always really difficult to park here. You drive around sometimes for like forever trying to find a spot, but I always like to look in there just to see, what kind of different stuff they got. And this past weekend, I saw a couple different films. The first one I saw was the film Overlord, which was a seriously intense movie. It was set during World War II. It was essentially, though, about a group of these U.S. soldiers who were being sent in to take down this tower that the Nazis were broadcasting these radio frequencies from. They had to go in there and take it down, but the plane ended up crashing on the way, and only a few of them ended up surviving. And they were out there, and they find their way into the town, and there's one girl who lives in the town who's trying to help them, like, hide out in her house and everything. But, right nearby is the church, and inside the church, there's all sorts of crazy things going on with these Nazis doing these insane experiments. And, like, the movie is a cross between, a regular type of war film, but then, crossed with this insane zombie film, which kind of has vibes a little bit of, like, Reanimator with the stuff with the zombies and these experiments. Also, a little bit of, like, Day of the Dead, kind of, with some of these weird experiments that are going on. I honestly thought that it was a really, really well done movie, and a really good mix between, like I said, a war film and a zombie film, and something a little different. The other one, though, that I saw this weekend was the film Boy Erased, which was a true story about this boy whose parents had found out that he was gay and ended up sending him to a gay conversion therapy thing at this church. It's essentially all about the stuff, these terrible things that he's going through there, and like the stuff that they're doing there. And like I said, it was all a true story, and stars Nicole Kidman and Russell Crowe as the parents, and they both did a really good job. Same with the main, the kid. He was also in the film recently, mid-90s, as the brother. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's in another couple of things coming out as well. But another one, really, really well done character piece. If you guys saw either of those movies, though, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of them, or what movies you saw this past weekend if you guys got to see anything. Into Best Buy we go. Yeah, and one of the other things that released today was Star Trek Discovery, the complete first season here, and then they have an actual exclusive steelbook for that one as well. I've never seen any of this one. I think this was on like that CBS like app thing or something like that. You have to watch online or something. If you guys have seen this, you know, series of the show, let me know how it was, because like I said, I haven't seen any episodes of this one at all. I think they have like a anthology kind of series as well that's on CBS right now that look kind of interesting. Like I said, let me know how this one is. They have in here too Olaf's Frozen Adventure as well for $14.99. Yeah, and in here though, I can't remember if this is the same cover that they had for the DVD at Walmart. I think it might be a different cover. I think like the DVDs all have different covers than the Blu-ray. And I know there is, yeah, I always forget to show this. They do have an exclusive Meg here, which includes the 3D copy. That one's only available at Best Buy, and it's $29.99 for the 4K. And like I said, they do have a really cool steelbook. I love the image on this one for the 4K version, which is $34.99. But like I said, I really, really like this one a lot though. And what's funny in here is it looks like they already set up the Black Friday stuff. I think this is like some of the stuff that I think is going to be on sale for Black Friday, or they're putting other titles in the Black, you know, they're like filling the spaces of where the Black Friday stuff is going to be with other titles for now. I don't know. I don't think there's any like sales on these particular ones right now, but like I said, I don't know for sure. I think some of these might be some of the ones that are going to be the Black Friday ones. Like I said, I don't know if it's that or they're just filling these spaces already with stuff. But I believe some of these are going to be Black Friday. I don't think, like I said, I don't think there's any specific prices on these. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure these are Black Friday ones. So that's kind of funny that they already have these ones already out in here. So that's kind of interesting. Let's look over here though and see if there's anything different. Over here though, like I showed the Meg in the front, this also released today, this one Spike Lee film here, School Days. This one is, I think this is the first time it's ever been on Blu-ray for $14.99, as well as the Marine 5 here. They have, or Marine 6, that one's $16.99. And I showed in the front the Meg one. Other than that though, let me think, yeah, this one came out today, Pixar Short Films Volume 3 here. I'm going to talk about this one at the end of this video. That one is $24.99. They do have the final score here as well, and I forgot to show this last week. You know, the Wreck-It Ralph came out on 4K, and they have an exclusive steelbook of that one in here. Also though, one of the other things I see was Alpha. Like I said, I have not seen this one. Let me know how this one was if you guys have seen this one. This one has on here the director's cut and a theatrical version on this. But other than that though, that seems to be all of the main things in here that I see today. So anyway though guys, that's all for my DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video today. Like I always say, if you guys enjoy these shopping videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Also leave me comments below this video. Let me know what you guys picked up today, if you guys picked up anything, as well as let me know as well what you guys thought of the DVDs and Blu-rays that I reviewed this end of this video. Now though, stay tuned for the brand new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And the first ones I got here from Arrow Video. Just want you guys know that these ones are available. This one here is from the Our Academy line. It's a movie here called Gas Food Lodging, which stars Fairuza Balk. Fairuza Balk plays the younger daughter in the film. It's basically about this mother who's living in this trailer park, you know, raising both of her daughters on her own because her husband had left, and it's kind of her trying to make ends meet, pay all the bills and everything. And it's kind of dealing with the mother and kind of her relationship problems, and like and the stuff that's going on at home, and the Fairuza Balk's character always kind of goes to the movies and kind of tries to escape from what's happening, and then the older daughter has to end up leaving school to help the mother pay the bills, to kind of make ends meet and everything. And it's all sorts of like the kind of troubles they're going through, as well as their relationship kind of problems going on, and all sorts of stuff with the mother and everything. It's actually a really, really well done movie. It's one of these movies, I saw this movie years and years back and totally forgot about this one, but really really, really well done movie. Has on here, though, a brand new interview with the director on this one, as well as a documentary on here called Cinephile Real Woman from 1995 on this one, as well as in here is you know, a booklet in here with some facts and stuff like that about the movie and all that kind of stuff. So really, really cool release for this film here. The next one here, just want to let you guys know this is available as well. This is from Arrow Video, and it's a anthology film here. This is from 1969, and it's called Orgies of Edo here. This has on here, though, a brand new exclusive interview with author Patrick Marcus. I might be saying the name wrong, as well as it has in here a booklet with some pictures and stuff like that from the film and stuff. So like I said, just want you guys know that this one is available as well from Arrow Video. The next ones here are from Shout Factory, Scream Factory line. This is one, I had never actually seen this movie before. I always saw the cover and everything, but somehow I totally missed this. And it's a movie here called Sleepwalkers, and it's the brand new collector's edition here. This is actually written by Stephen King. I believe it was originally like a story that wasn't published or something like that, but he actually wrote the screenplay for this movie. And it's basically, you know, it's directed by Mick Garris as well. I really like this movie, and it has really, really cool. I like the music. They use like an Enya song in this, and it was like, and you wouldn't have thought an Enya song in this movie, but like the way they did it, really, really fits. Essentially, though, it's about this mother and son that end up moving to this new town. But you notice something right away. Like the very beginning of this movie, though, you see these dead cats hanging from trees and stuff in this house, and you see someone dead in this house, and you know something weird is going on. But it's like this mother and son that moved this new town in this house, and the son kind of seems like he's like the perfect kind of guy, but you little by little start to notice there's something off, and he also has like a really peculiar relationship, you know, with his mother and the way things are going and what he's doing with the mother. It's like you notice like right away something is up. But he ends up meeting this girl that he likes. He's kind of planning on going out with her on this date and everything, and but basically though, you find out really early on that this, you know, that there's something to do with this kid and the mother being some sorts of creatures, and it's sort of like they have a plan and what they're planning and why they need this girl, and that's sort of all I want to say. Like I said, just from the cover, you know that, but I don't really want to say too much else what happens. And another thing too that's a big plot point of this movie, though, that's not spoiling anything, is these two, the mother and son, hate and despise cats. They like hate them. They have traps outside for cats and really hate them. But this was actually a really great movie, and there's really, really good effects in this, like, you know, creature effects and everything. And there's also a bunch of cameos, like Stephen King has a cameo in here. Jonathan Lannis is in here. I'm trying to think of everyone who else was in here. Clive Barker. I think Clive Barker was in there. I know Joe Dante was in there, and I can't remember who else, but I think there might have been one or two others. But they had them like at 2 or 3 different spots where they had the cameos. But on here though, it has a commentary track, a brand new audio commentary track with Mick Garris and the actress, the main 2 actresses in the film. And I didn't even notice until after I was looking over. There's an interview too with both the actors, you know, Brian Krause and I never know how to say her name right. Madchen, Amick, you know, and she was from Twin Peaks, and I didn't even realize that until I was watching that. I was like, oh yeah, she was in Twin Peaks, and she was in the newest series of Twin Peaks as well. This also has on here though new interviews with Mick Garris and the actors on this one, kind of both talking back and forth to each other about the experience, and it has behind the scenes footage as well as theatrical trailer. But definitely check this out. I really thought this was a fun movie, and like I said, I don't know how I never saw it till now. The next one here is from Scream Factory as well, and it's a brand new collector's edition here of House on Haunted Hill. This was the remake film. This is from 1999, and it and I forgot too when I was watching this. I was like, I forgot that they shot the opening to this at Universal's Islands of Adventure, and I think that was like when Islands of Adventure had just opened, or was like really, really new, or hadn't opened yet, something like that. They filmed it on the Hulk roller coaster, and like it was cool to see that in there, because I know that Hulk roller coaster has been like torn down and then put back together, so I don't know if it's exactly the same as it was at this point, like the way it is now inside. But it's like really rare to see footage inside of that roller coaster. But basically though, this movie is about Geoffrey Rush's character, who is the guy who owns this theme park, and he ends up he has a terrible relationship with his wife, and she's having this big party, and she's like, well, you know, will you invite everybody? Here's this big list, and, you know, tell all these people to come. And he just throws out the list and doesn't pay any attention, puts down random names. But of course, though, something happens to the computer, like does its own thing and randomly picks these names for one reason or another. And the place where the party is going to be held is this old abandoned mental asylum, where in 1933, Jeffrey Combs' character plays this crazy, deranged doctor at the mental asylum who's doing these weird experiments and all sorts of crazy stuff and killing people and everything. And all these people die in there in a fire. And of course, they're having this thing, this party there years later, and everyone who ends up getting invited and everything gets trapped inside because the shades come down and there's like these metal doors and they're all trapped. But before that happens, though, Geoffrey Rush's character's like, well, if you spend the night in here and you survive, you end up getting $1 million each. But if any of you die, the money will be split up because it's 5 different people, and you end up splitting up the other person's money. But of course, though, they're all trapped in there. Geoffrey Rush's character's trapped in there as well. And, like, there's somebody, he originally planned it to have it be, like, all set up and everything, but he didn't expect that this place was actually haunted and they were actually going to have bad things happen to them. And it's kind of like them all trapped in there with bad things happening. And it's actually a very creepy, atmospheric movie. And I really thought they did an amazing job, even when I saw this years back, on the set designs in this. Like, the look and, like, how, like, rushed it up and, like, dirty and everything. They did just an amazing job on the look of inside this place. I just thought that was like one of the top-notch things of this movie. And it has on here, though, a brand new 2K scan of the film, new interviews with the director on this one, as well as the composer, and then vintage featurette on the film, as well as a vintage featurette on the visual effects, deleted scenes, theatrical trailer, and a TV spot. But if you guys have never seen this one, highly recommend you guys check this one out. This is a really fun remake. It's another one from Scream Factory, and I've always really loved this movie. Always been a fan of Jennifer Jason Leigh, and this is a movie here called Single White Female. This is basically, though, about, Bridget Fonda, who I hope one day comes back to acting again. She was in Lake Placid, been a bunch of different movies, but always was a really big fan of her as well. But it's basically, though, about Bridget Fonda's character. She ends up breaking up with her boyfriend, or she was like thinking to be getting married to him, and she needs to find a new roommate to live with her because she has this really expensive kind of loft kind of apartment, and she ends up putting like an ad in the paper, and Jennifer Jason Leigh's character comes to stay there. She comes to like see if she wants to stay at the place and everything, and she's like, oh yeah, you can stay here. She seems like everything will be all right. But of course, little does she know that Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, little by little becomes extremely obsessive and very, very peculiar, and things start to happen, though, with Bridget Fonda's character and like the boyfriend who she was engaged to, now that she's like starting to come back. And it basically, what's going on is it was not a good thing that Jennifer Jason Leigh was allowed to live at this place, and she becomes, like I said, as obsessed as she can, and starts like mimicking her and everything, and it's just like basically destroying her life. This is an amazing movie. I've always absolutely loved this movie. Another one, I was so glad to see this one get a Blu-ray release. It has on here, though, interviews with the director on this one, as well as some of the actors, a commentary track on here, as with the editor, associate producer, as well as a theatrical trailer. But another one, like I said, definitely check this one out. This one here is from Lionsgate, and it's a movie here called Little Italy, which stars Emma Roberts and Hayden Christensen. And this is set in Little Italy, but in Canada. Because I didn't even know they had like a Little Italy. I think pretty much everywhere has a Little Italy, but I've never really heard too much talk about the Little Italy in Canada. But essentially, though, in the beginning of this movie, Emma Roberts and Hayden Christensen's character were like really good friends, and both of their parents ran these 2 different pizza places. They were right next to each other, but even though they were right next to each other, they still were friends. They got along, and they kind of worked together, and like it was like kind of something they were all right with. But something, Emma Roberts' character, kind of drifted away. She went away to culinary school in Europe, and she's basically is going to be offered this really big job in Europe, but she has to change her visa if she's going to do it, because she's like was basically on a guest visa, so she has to go back to Canada to get the visa changed. But when she goes back, she finds out too, and she knew about this before, though, that her parents, her parents and Hayden Christensen's parents, who work at the other pizza place, are no longer friends because of some rivalry and something that happened, and they're enemies now. So she goes back, and she's kind of dealing with them having their fights back and forth and hating each other. And she also sees Hayden Christensen's character again, and they kind of start talking, and then the mother's like, I can't, both the parents find out about this and are not happy that they're talking and everything. But it's essentially, though, a relationship thing about Emma Roberts' character not sure what she's going to do, and like how things are kind of changed between how she's now starting to kind of see Hayden Christensen's is this character different other than a friend and everything. I actually thought this was actually a really fun movie. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like My Big Fat Greek Wedding. It has that kind of vibe to this one. But if you guys have seen this one too, you know, let me know what you thought. It has on here the behind the scenes of Little Italy, so it has a couple different cast and crew interviews on this one. And the next ones I got here from Lionsgate are the brand new 4K releases for the very first time of the first 3 Rambo films, First Blood, Rambo First Blood Part 2, and Rambo 3. And I love these covers on these ones. These are really great images on these releases. And I totally forgot, though, for some reason, that the first Rambo movie was not even called, I don't think, Rambo. It was originally called First Blood, and that was, I believe, the only title that it had. But then they started using Rambo in the sequels. I actually really like these movies. The first movie was a much more serious in tone film, though, because it was Sylvester Stallone's character, who was a war veteran, and he was kind of just passing through this small town, and Patrick Denny's character, who plays this cop, kind of picks him up and is like kind of offering him a ride, but he really is like offering him a ride because he wants him out of the town. He doesn't want him there at all, and he really like takes this total vendetta against him, and he ends up actually arresting him and putting him in jail for doing nothing at all. And the cops in there are kind of taunting him and giving him all kinds of problems. It's like a terrible situation that he goes through, and John Rambo is not taking it and ends up like escaping, getting out of there, and Patrick Denny and the other cops are kind of like hunting him and, you know, following him and tracking him, and he ends up hiding out in the woods, and it becomes this total bad situation. But I really love this film. And the second one was with John Rambo going to try and in Vietnam looking for prisoners of war, and he was kind of there just to kind of supposed to bring them back, but he ends up actually going and you know, trying to get revenge on the people, but then other bad things start to happen to him as well, you know. And then the third one, though, was somebody that John Rambo knew ended up getting kidnapped and taken to like a war zone area in Afghanistan, and it's kind of him out there. And the third one, though, becomes really intense, because like it really amps up like the craziness and like the huge special effects and everything in the third movie. Like I said, I really love these movies. They have on here, though, they have making ofs on all of the films, because they're all done in parts, like making of part 1, making of part 2, making of part 3, and there's lots of different features on here. The first one has an alternate ending, outtake, deleted scenes, some featurettes on here. And the second film has on here some featurettes on actions in the jungle, behind the scenes. So there's tons and tons of features on these ones. There's also an Easter egg on the third film. 4K wise, though, they did a really good job cleaning up these films. The first movie is a very gritty movie, the way it was shot and everything, but definitely benefits, you know, with 4K. Like I always say, the big thing with 4K is the HDR and the contrast levels. HDR, which is the contrast levels, and that's the big thing you always notice, is like there's much more richness, you know, richness to the darks, and then like the brights, like the image itself too, like especially scenes of like outside and everything, have a much brighter picture. That's the big thing that to me, that I always notice. Of course, like the definition and everything, but the brightness levels is what I always notice. But really fun movies, and so cool these are released on 4K. And like I said, I absolutely love the artwork on these releases. The next one's, this one here is from Lionsgate as well. It's a movie here called The Ladybug, and it has John Heder in here and Haley Duff, which is cool that both of them were doing voices in that, because if you guys don't remember, they were both in Napoleon Dynamite. John Heder, you know, of course, was playing Napoleon Dynamite. Haley Duff was playing Summer Whitley, I believe was the name, and then Nora Donald does a voice in this as well. But this is basically, though, about this little ladybug character. I believe it's voiced by Lisa Lisbug Swartz, who's I believe is a YouTuber. I'm not sure what kind of videos she does on YouTube. I have to look that up. But it's essentially, though, this ladybug who's living in kind of like an aquarium type thing, where like I guess it's like an atrium kind of thing, where they're kind of I guess it's like they do like I guess I don't know what you exactly say it is. It's like a fish tank kind of type thing, but like with different types of bugs and animals and stuff like that in it, and insects and stuff in it. And there's like different other takes and everything around there. But you know, the ladybug character really sees this thing on TV about this big field kind of area, and really wants to go there. And it's her ends up with the help of this other bug, which is a what was the bug in this one? I think it was, I'm totally forgetting what the other bug was, but I know it was John Heater's character, but she ends up like escaping, and they kind of fly away together, and it's kind of like them on the adventure to try and find where she saw on TV to see if she can actually track down where this place is, and it's sort of like all the sorts of obstacles and the other kind of bug characters and creatures and stuff that she comes across along the way. This is definitely more for kids, but it really was a fun movie. I thought it was actually pretty well animated. This has on here though some featurettes. It has giving the characters a voice, which has a thing in here with the in the recording studio with the voice actors on this one. The next one here is from Lionsgate as well. It's a movie called Blind Spotting. This is actually a really pretty cool movie. This was about this guy who was on he was on probation for something that he did, and he was on probation for it was like I don't know how long it was, like a year or so, and he's on the last 3 days of probation, where like as long as he doesn't get in any kind of trouble or anything, he's like totally off of probation, and he's like doesn't have to think, everything from the past and stuff like that is kind of, he's not gonna have to worry about that and worry about checking in with the parole officer and any of that kind of stuff anymore after these 3 days are up. But what's happening though is things are happening to him where it's messing it up, where he's like trying the best he can to not let anything happen to mess it up, because if he messes up in in those 3 days, like he's getting home late because he has to check into where he lives in this group home type setting, if he comes back late, he can get in trouble with the guy. But he's like, also if he's around somebody that has a gun, like any type of thing. But one big thing happens where he like drives this moving company with his friend, and like he also can't leave the certain areas and everything. But one night he ends up witnessing this cop shooting this guy, and the guy gets killed. And he sees the whole thing, and he leaves, because they move him on, because he was just like in the car driving by. But this whole thing really bothers him, and it's kind of something that is sticking with him throughout this movie, and like really, really affecting him. And it's sort of him, trying his best to make sure nothing happens, but at the same time, this is all something that he's thinking about, that this has happened. And it's like really, really well done movie. This has on here the deleted scenes, straight from the town making of Blind Spotting, has a commentary track on this one as well with the director, as well as one with the writers and actors on this one. The next one here is from Warner Brothers. They sent over a free copy of this one to let you guys know about. This is the film here starring Jason Statham, Rainn Wilson, and Ruby Rose, called The Meg. And I saw this one in theaters as well. This is a really, really fun shark film. This is probably one of the best shark movies in a really long time. I always love shark movies. And this one is like the biggest shark that you can imagine, because it's like, I think some people even say that this shark might have existed in like the prehistoric times, this gigantic, or a shark similar, like this huge type shark. But essentially though, Jason Statham's character was on this it's kind of like submarine ship in the beginning of this movie, and something went really wrong, and the people on the sub with him, he ended up getting out, but they ended up dying in it, and he's kind of in a bad way about this. But he ends up getting called in to where Rainn Wilson's character is like this. He basically built this gigantic like underground kind of like research vessel type thing for looking at like real deep sea creatures and that kind of stuff. And something that they had happened there by one of the submarines, like this little sub ends up going down and getting lost, and they don't know how to get it back, and it's like deep, like really deep down. And they bring up Jason, Statham to do it because his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife was down there. So he comes back, but of course they get back. And then because of something, this gigantic shark comes from up down the depths that they were in, and he has to kind of fight the thing. But it is honestly, this is such a fun movie. I thought this was really, really well done. There's actually some featurettes on here which were fun too, like a making of thing where they were showing like how they did this, and like there was a lot of it too that they really did shoot at the sea, and then they showed like the stuff on the green screen sets, and it was definitely an exhausting process because they went through like all the stuff, showing how it was done and everything. I don't know, I also a big fan of Ruby Rose, but really, really, really fun movie. 4K wise too, this is definitely a must watch on 4K. It is like I said, it's just like I was saying too, the big thing with 4K is the HDR, and this really benefits because it's like all stuff deep in the deep sea. So there's so much contrast levels down there, as well as like the brightness and how much it boosts everything. But definitely a really, really fun movie. And another one here from Warner Brothers, they sent over a free copy of to let you guys know is available. And this is the Stanley Kubrick film 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I love this case of this one. It has like a case like this, and inside it has the 4K disc as well. In here is some pictures and stuff like that. You know, it has like some, you know, postcard type pictures from the film in this. Like, this is like such a one of the most stylistic visual films of space I think that there ever was, and like definitely inspired like everything like to come after it, you know, Star Wars, and like the look of Moon, the film Moon really has that look, but it has in here a booklet with some pictures of like the look and the wardrobe and everything. The thing about this movie too was it was so ahead of its time with the special effects. Like when you look at them now, even now, they hold up so well. And like, you know, that's the thing with Stanley Kubrick, is he was always so up on everything with the cinematography and everything. And this, like I said, when it comes to space films, it is probably like the top one, and definitely the one that inspired so many things, and like with the looks and everything to this. And like 4K though looks amazing, because this is like such a, like I said, super white scenes too, in like the like real clinical type sets in this spaceship. And the movie basically goes though to like the dawn of time with the apes in the very beginning, to like the exploration and the things throughout space ages and stuff, and like through this one the space program and how things change throughout a period of time. And that's really hard to explain because it's a very, very intricate film, but just such a cool movie. I really hope though they continue to release more Stanley Kubrick films on 4K, because I would love to see The Shining on 4K. That would be amazing to see that one cleaned up. Definitely one I would recommend. And the next one I got here is from Disney. It's the film here, Christopher Robin. And I used to, as a kid, always think it was Christopher Robinson. I don't know why. I always totally thought that. This is like a really different take on the character of Christopher Robinson and his adventures with Winnie the Pooh in the 100-Acre Woods, because it's about him, the very beginning of this movie, right when he's getting ready to say his goodbyes to Winnie the Pooh and everyone, and kind of like go into sort of like adulthood, and kind of, you know, put all his adventures and everything behind him. And then it cuts years later to the grown-up Christopher Robin, and it's him, you know, he's like, in his life, it's like he's working at this office building, and his boss is kind of making him fire all these people that he works with, and he's kind of has to decide who he's going to fire, and he's not really in a good place about this whole situation, not happy the way things in his life are going. And Winnie the Pooh ends up coming out of the 100-Acre Woods to find him, and like kind of see him now, and it's kind of him talking with him, and kind of going back to the 100-Acre Woods, and like going on the adventures with them again. But it was a really, really different take on the whole thing, and I thought it was actually really well done. Always a fan though of Ewan McGregor. This has on here though a whole bunch of different features. One of the things is show how the stuffies are brought to life, because the characters are done like, you know, as they're stuffed animals and animated, you know, the way they brought them to life, like, you know, moving stuffed animals. They did a really good job on the way they looked and everything. Also has a voice actor thing on here about the Winnie the Pooh voice, and a couple other things on this as well. But really, really, like I said, a really different, interesting take on the whole Christopher Robinson Winnie the Pooh story. The next one here is from Disney. This is the Pixar Short Films Collection, Volume 3, the third volume of the Pixar Short Films. I don't know about you guys, but like with me, when it comes to the Pixar Short Films, I think like probably 90% of the times I end up crying to them. Like I find them, like so many of them are super emotional, and like some really sad, and so well done, because they're like usually like 5 or 10 minutes or so, like around that range, and they do such a good job, you know, conveying an emotion, the way they put them together and everything. And sometimes it's the characters from some of the other films, you know, like Toy Story characters, Monsters Inc., and then some of them are original stories just to this, like the two on here that I love, which are some of my favorite ones recently, was the dumpling that gets brought back to life, and this woman who like wishes she had a kid and has a dumpling that comes to life, and then this volcano, which is really sad as well. But it has on here though a bunch of different short films, as well as it has the making of Bao, which was about the dumpling that comes to life, as well as commentary tracks on here, as well as some bonus mini movies, Marine Life and Miss Fritter's Racing School. But if you guys are fans of the, the Pixar short films, this one has too, the Blu-ray, the DVD, as well as a digital copy of all of them as well. The next one here is from Sony. This is a movie, this is a brand new 4K release of the film Air Force One, which stars Harrison Ford. I have not seen this movie in so many years, so it's really cool to see this again. This came out in like 1997, so I don't think I probably had seen this since probably around then. And they played it on HBO a lot back in the day, but I don't think I had seen it ever in like in HD. I never saw it on Blu-ray. So seeing it on a 4K, this looks amazing. Like, they did such a great job cleaning this one up. Sony, though, always does a top-notch job cleaning up their 4Ks. I think they do some of the best 4K transfers of older catalog releases that I've seen. Hook I saw recently, they did an amazing job on that one as well. And this is like one where Harrison Ford is, is playing the president. He's just going to this talk, and he ends up he's on the Air Force One plane, and it ends up getting hijacked by these terrorists, and it's kind of like his family's on there, and he is kind of told, like, he's kind of hiding in there, and he's kind of told not to engage and stuff. He's kind of being told over the radio and stuff when he's talking to people. And of course, though, he, doesn't accept that, and he wants to protect his family. And it's kind of him going on this, this crazy stuff that's happening on there, and him trying to rescue his family. It's got kind of like a Die Hardish kind of vibe, a little bit, like a sort of vibe to this. And the thing that was cool about it was all set on this plane, and it's kind of him hiding out on the plane, and who was the star? Gary Oldman was in this playing the terrorist guy, the main bad guy. I don't know, this was really, really well done and a really, really fun movie. This has on here feature-wise, a director's commentary, but really, really good job cleaning this one up, and just a fun movie. It's really cool to see this one again. And the next one here is from Sony as well. It's a movie here called Puzzle, and this is basically about this woman who is always kind of catering to her husband and her kids, and that's all she's kind of ever really thinking about, and she's always kind of never really worrying about herself too much. But one day she gets as a gift this puzzle, and it's kind of like this really intricate puzzle to put together, and she kind of goes and then one day, though, when she's going look at more puzzles and everything, she ends up seeing this sign that says for a puzzle partner, where you kind of work together and put together puzzles and everything. And she ends up meeting the guy who's on the flyer about it, and it's kind of about them becoming friends, putting together these puzzles. But at the same time, it's kind of about her becoming more assertive about herself, and this is kind of like the one thing that she really likes, and it's about her kind of sort of standing up to her family a little bit, and she's not concerning as much about them, and she's finally for once found something that she likes and is thinking about herself and everything. It's actually a really, really well done character piece here. It has on here, though, some featurettes on this one. It has an alternate ending as well as a commentary track on here with the director on this one. The next ones here are from the Warner Archive, and I have a link below where you guys can order these ones for the best price. And this is the complete third season here of Step by Step. This is one of those shows I'm so glad they've been releasing these on DVD, because they just started releasing them in the last couple months or so. And this is a series that one of the ones that I've talked about in the past where you don't see this one as often as other TGIF shows, when you comes to things like Full House and Family Matters. Those are ones I felt like you kind of saw a lot on repeats, and they still to this day you see them on TV all the time. Step by Step I don't feel like was one that you saw as often. It was also a little bit more like the where Family Matters and Full House were kind of more G-rated a little bit. Step by Step was a little bit more PG-ish. You know what I mean? So it was a little bit more, slightly a bit more adult than the other ones, with some of the humor and stuff like that. But it's basically, though, about Susan Summers' character and Patrick Duffy, who ended up getting married together, and they both had kids from a past marriage. And it's kind of them all together, and the kids not really getting along, and it kind of just goes through all the stuff with the kids and their problems in school and problems with getting along. It's just a really, really fun show. I think it was the second season, because they did a crossover with this too, where they had Urkel, the Urkel character was in the second season. But it's just a really, really fun show. The one main kid too, the one son, was from the Beethoven films. And this one here is from the archive as well, and this is the Amanda Bynes show here, the complete third season of What I Like About You. I can't remember how many seasons this show ran for. It's cool too, there's on the back it has them dressed up like the Gilligan's Island characters. This is basically, though, about Amanda Bynes' character, who is in this season. It kind of picks up with her having kind of relationship troubles, because she went away to, I think it was to Paris, and then she broke up with her boyfriend, and then she met these other guys there, and then there's kind of like a love triangle with her between these two guys, and it's just sort of like her and her day-to-day life and her relationship problems. And I'm always been a huge fan of Amanda Bynes. It's just a really, really cool show, and really glad they're continuing releasing this show. And I did not see too much of this one when this was on. Like, I watched as a kid, you know, I wasn't really exactly a kid, exactly how I'm same age as Amanda Bynes. So whatever age Amanda Bynes was in the Amanda show, I was watching that then. But I watched her when I was a kid, though, and she was a kid as well, and all that. And then, of course, you know, A Big Fat Liar is one of my favorite things of hers. The next one here is from Mill Creek, and this is the brand new, Blu-ray collection here of the complete series of Rescue Me. And I love this case on this. It has like a super, really cool reflective look on this, and then it has like a slip cover that comes off. And I'll show you guys a look inside. This is the show that stars Dennis Leary. I think this show aired on FX, I believe. I might not be right about that when this originally aired, but this was one of the first shows, like one of the early ones, like with this and like Nip Tuck and one or two others, where it was shows were starting to get a little bit more adult rated. And this was really, really on The Shield, which they're going to be releasing, I believe, next month on Blu-ray, which I cannot wait for that. But it was when TV was starting to get a little bit more adult oriented, and this was like a TV MA show. And now though on FX, they don't have to edit anything really, except for like nudity, like to a degree. But it's interesting to see though how the stuff that you can see on TV and stuff has kind of changed over the years. But this was one of the like early groundbreaking shows of things becoming more adult. But I think Nip Tuck was one of the first of that, I believe. I don't know if there's anything. Let me know in the comments below, guys, if you remember anything before that where it was becoming MA and they were getting away with more adult language and stuff on TV. This is essentially, though, about Dennis Leary's character, who is a fire captain, and it's kind of about him and all the sorts of, the rescuing things that he's going through, but he's also, in his own life, he's having all sorts of kind of problems, and like, I don't want to ruin everything about this show, but he's essentially, he's having a lot of different problems in his life, and this takes place after 9/11, so the way that things were at that exact time, too, and it's just essentially, though, about the missions and everything, and it deals with the characters and stuff that he works with and their kind of problems that they're going through in life. This has in here, though, the complete first, it has, like I said, the whole series, and it's season 1 through 4, and then 5 through 7, and it has, like, images on the back. There's also a bunch of different features on this. This has commentary tracks on here, deleted scenes, gag reels, featurettes, Firehouse reel stories. But a little look inside here, how the discs are and everything. It has, like, season 1, season 2, season 3, but like a really, really cool set. Like I said, they're also going to be putting out The Shield next month, which I cannot wait to see that show. That's one of those ones that I watched all the time when that one was originally airing, but a really cool set. I love the way this is laid out with the slip cover on this one. Like I said, it has the slip cover that goes over top of it like this and has the really cool shine as well to the case. The next one here is from Umbrella Entertainment. This one is a region-free release, so you guys can watch this one on any Blu-ray player. There's no region code locking or anything. This will play on a US Blu-ray player. It's a movie directed by Paul Schrader here called Light Sleeper, and this movie, I have to say, is absolutely excellent. I love the music in this, and I realized the guy who did the music was the original writer of I Still Believe, the song that was in The Lost Boys with the saxophone scene. But like that scene, I love that scene, that movie. Like, that song is amazing. But like, he was the original writer of that song, and he had a version of it that he did as well with his band called I can't remember exactly what his band was called, but he did the original version, and then it was covered in Lost Boys. This is basically, though, about William Dafoe's character, who is this drug dealer working for Susan Sarandon, but he's like a drug dealer who is clean. He's been clean from drugs himself and isn't really happy at all doing this. Even Susan Sarandon's character, who he works for, she doesn't really want to be doing this. Nobody really wants to do what they're doing, and William Dafoe's character ends up seeing his old girlfriend that he hasn't seen for years, who he used to be on drugs with, and they was kind of like their bond. But she's now clean herself, and he starts seeing her a little bit and kind of bugging her. And the second he comes around, though, things start going really poorly for this, his old girlfriend. But it's essentially, though, just a character piece about him going through his life, what he's doing, and trying to muscle through everything and deal with this and like be miserable in his life. And if you guys know Paul Schrader, you know he's the writer of Taxi Driver and recently directed the film First Reformed, which he wrote as well. His movies are excellent. Like, his movies are always really, really good. And this is one where he wrote and directed it. And I feel like the ones when he writes and directed are especially amazing. But this one has a commentary track on here with film critics. It has a Q&A with Ed Lachman, you know, cinematographer Ed Lachman, as well as Paul Schrader. But if you guys have seen this one, I want to talk about you guys. Let me know in the comments, you know, what you guys thought of this. The music, like I said, it was one of those movies. This was such a great film. The next two here are from the MVD Marquee Collection. This is the Nicolas Cage film. This is the 2-disc Ultimate Edition here of the film Wind Talkers. And this is basically, though, a film about Nicolas Cage character who ends up going and is working to protect the because this is during the war, and they're doing they're kind of talking through the radio, through coding, like through Native American language, and that's kind of how they're able to say things without the enemy finding out. And Nicolas Cage's character is the one who's protecting the code breaker, who's like reading the codes and everything. And in here, though, it has there's a bunch of different people who are in here, like Mark Ruffalo is in this film, Kristen Slater's in this movie. It's directed by John Woo, but it has on here, though, the 130-minute theatrical version as well as the 153-minute director's cut, commentary track on here, commentary track with Kristen Slater and Nicolas Cage. So I don't feel like I've seen Nicolas Cage and, Slater do a commentary on anything else. Maybe they had, but like, I believe that was an original release thing, but really pretty cool that's on here, as well as a whole bunch of different featurettes on the movie and everything. And this is one that I had never saw before, which is a movie called Memories of Me, and this is from the Marquee Collection as well. This is directed by Henry Winkler, and it stars Billy Crystal, Alan King, and Jo Beth Williams. This is about Billy Crystal, who's this doctor who ends up, in the very beginning of this movie, gets really stressed out and has a mild heart attack. So he ends up going back into L.A. to see his father, and he hasn't seen his father in years. And his father is like a really sort of a well-known extra, but not like an extra that's really featured. He's just kind of there, like he calls himself the face in the crowd. And he goes back there and like sees his father and watches his father filming. And it's like these great scenes of him as an extra and his friends who are extras, and some of his friends, his characters were like, you know, ones that were always known for doing certain things, like the guy in the courtroom who was like, it's like they all had like their like kind of one thing that they did. Like I said, his father doesn't have anything like that. He's just sort of there in the scenes. It's basically about them going and trying to kind of bond again after not seeing each other for so many years. And that's essentially what it is. But I always loved, Billy Crystal. I thought this was a really, really fun movie. And cool to see one, like I said, that I never had heard of before in the past. This one here is from Mondo Macabro. And it's a movie here called The Inheritors. And this is a movie about this kid who ends up, so 1983, and this is actually based on a true story, I believe, or a true case of some of the stuff that had happened. And this kid who ends up, sort of in trouble with school and having some problems and stuff, and he ends up meeting this kid who is part of this, like, Nazi supremacist kind of group. And he ends up, like, befriending him and going into this, and, like, they're up to some really bad stuff is going on there, and he kind of goes and, like, is, like, staying with them and seeing what they're up to and, like, the head of the whole thing. And it's kind of like a really interesting character thing about all this stuff that is going on, and like the terrible kind of stuff that they're involved with, and this kid kind of finding his way into all of this. This has on here though a brand new 2K scan of the film, like a really great transfer on this one. Has English and German audio choices on this one. But like I said, just want you guys to know that this one was available. And this one here is from Twilight Time. This is a limited edition release. This one here is Short Night of Glass Dolls. And this is basically, though, an interesting giallo film, or sort of a giallo film, about this guy in the very beginning of this movie. He's like a corpse. He's like a dead corpse. But it's kind of like Nightmares and Dreamscapes did an episode that was kind of like that. A guy who was a corpse on a gurney, but he was like alive. And he's like going, "Why are you doing this to me? I'm not dead." This happens to this guy in this movie. He's like laying on the gurney, and he's like, can't move or talk or anything. He's like, "I don't know why this is happening to me." This is all in his mind. And I'm not dead. And they're all saying, we're going to have to do the bombing now, and they're talking about how he died and everything. But obviously something is going on, because he can see all this, and he's like thinking back, I got to figure out what happened to me. I got to figure out how I ended up like this. So it's him going and remembering back to kind of what led him up to this thing, and it's sort of like a whole big thing about him remembering it all, and it's actually really interesting. And Ione did the music in this, so really, really great music. music, has an isolated music track on this one, a commentary track on here with film historians, and it has the, it doesn't say on the back, I don't believe, but it has it in, oh no, it does. It has it in, audio in English and Italian, so it has audio English and Italian audio options. This one here is from Monarch Home Entertainment. It's a movie here called Snowman's, and this, I don't know if this aired on Lifetime or not, I'm not sure, but this is basically though about this girl in the beginning of this movie. She really liked this one guy, and she made a snowman of him, and the guy like picked on her for it and everything and messed up the snowman. But then there's this other guy that she's friends with, and he kind of comes over and comforts her about the whole thing that happened, and they end up putting together the snowman together and like fixing it up, and it kind of becomes their tradition of every year they get together and make a snowman. And this guy though always really liked this girl, but he's like throughout all these years he was never telling her. But then the one day she ends up meeting this guy, and you know, starts having this relationship, and he's kind of like to the point where he doesn't know if he should tell her and what he should do. And this guy, it's like, because she's always too, she's never having good luck with boyfriends or anything, and it's essentially about her and like the whole big confrontation about her not, you know, with this new guy, but a friend of hers for years who doesn't know what he should do and everything. But a really fun relationship piece one here. This one here is from Icarus. I believe it's Aquarius Films. It's a documentary called Our Daily Bread, and it's really interesting the way this was filmed because it's all like clinical. It's not like a narrative documentary, but it's all like these clinical type of scenes about like farming and like farming type scenes and stuff at like where like the animals are held and the meat packing plant and all that sorts of stuff, like showing all this stuff and like kind of like where the camera just kind of rolls and shows what it is, but like really, really good cinematography and everything on it. And the last one here is from PBS, and it's a series here called The Woman in White. And I believe there was actually a couple of renditions of this one in the past, and it's this guy who gets hired, he's a painter, and he ends up going to help teach these girls painting. Along the way, though, he ends up meeting this woman who's like kind of saying these kind of sort of crazy things, and she runs off, and he hears that she was like escaped from the nut house, or that's what he thinks had happened. But when he gets to the house where he's helping these girls, he ends up noticing that like someone there, that one there really looks like the person that he saw out in the graveyard area. And it's a really interesting thing about him getting out there to this house and like weird sorts of things happening and everything. The one main actress in this one was recently in the film Beast, which is a really, really cool movie. But this one was a really, really interesting movie here. I mean, interesting TV series here from PBS. But anyway, though, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.